Hey guys, so hopefully you have already read pages 24b, starting with some muscles are involuntary, going to 27, and then you have watched the video that reviews muscles a little bit more. So after you've done those two things, you're going to watch this video. Okay? That's the video that you should have watched. Okay, so remember that tendons, the bones with the skeletal muscles, they are attached to your bones. Okay? And then most of the skeletal muscles are connected to the bones by a strong white fiber called tendons. So the tendon's connected to the muscle and the bone. Okay? So the tendon is what the muscle actually attaches the muscle to the bone that allows it. It's flexible, but it's extremely strong. So it allows to move the bones so that the bones can move and you can do whatever you want to do. Now remember that most of the skeletal muscles work in pairs. So when one muscle relaxes, the other one contracts. When one muscle contracts, the other relaxes. Now remember that muscles never push, they always pull. They always work by pulling. So if a muscle wants to contract, it pulls. When it relaxes, it goes down. Muscles never push the bone. It just pulls or relaxes, pulls or relaxes. Now, we talked about skeletal muscles, types of muscles, and there are cardiac muscles and there are smooth muscles. Now, skeletal muscles are what we talked about yesterday, voluntary muscles. And voluntary muscles are muscles that you control and you move them. Okay? You control your brain, and the motor nerves come from your brain to your spinal cord that controls the voluntary muscles. But then there are some involuntary muscles, and that is the cardiac muscles and the smooth muscles. Involuntary means that you do not have control over them. Okay, so right now, I want you to use your wrist, and try to find the beat of your heart. Okay, so you're holding like this, and you should be able to, if you press down a little bit, not too hard, then you should be able to feel your heartbeat. Okay, are you controlling the beating of your heart? Okay, no. Okay, now think about your breath. Okay, do you have to control how many times you breathe? You think about breathing. Sometimes you do. If I ask you to breathe deep, then yeah, you might think about it, but you don't think about it normally. You don't have to say breathe. Okay, breathe again. Okay, your heart beats. Okay, I mean, there's 100,000 times a day. 100,000 times a day your heart beats. So you think about that every time. Beat, beat, beat. No, it's involuntary. There are things that work even when you aren't thinking about it. Okay, that is how God created us. So the cardiac muscles obviously bring blood, keeps us alive, bring blood, circulates blood throughout our body. Right? Then the smooth muscles, that's part of our stomach, our intestines, our bladder, okay, our organs that digest our food. Okay, those are involuntary. We don't have to tell our food to digest. We have no control over that as far as whether it's involuntary or voluntary, but all those are types of muscles. So voluntary muscles are muscles that you control, and those are the skeletal muscles. And then involuntary muscles are muscles that you do not control. They work no matter what, and that's like your heart. But these are two different types. These are called cardiac muscles and smooth muscles with your organs. Okay, so I am on page 25 about how to build strong muscles. So muscles are obviously very important. It matters what you eat when it comes to your muscles. And so one thing, a huge thing to do is protein. Okay. These are some things, healthy ways to find protein. Protein is found in meats. Okay. So if you eat seafood, if you eat beef, chicken, meat is a really good source of protein. But some other sources of protein might be beans or eggs, yogurt, milk, certain types of vegetables, cheese. Protein is something that your body needs to make strong muscles. So proteins are okay. If you don't want soft, flabby muscles, okay? You want strong, tight muscles for that. Another thing you need is carbohydrates. Now, we think you might have heard your mom talking about carbs. Now, there are good carbs and bad carbs. Some people cut off all carbs, okay? Especially at your age, you do not want to do that because there are good carbs. Your body needs carbs. Listen to me. Your body needs carbs. Okay. If you deprive yourself of carbs, then you actually starve your body. Your body needs carbs to be healthy and strong. It's just what type of carbs are you feeding your body? Candy, sodas, white pastas and breads, donuts, pastries, cakes, sugary cereal. Those are bad carbs. They are processed, they're man-made, and so they are not good for your body. Those are carbs that are not good. But there are carbs that help your body, like brown rice, quinoa, oats, like oatmeal, fruits and vegetables, pasta that are made from brown rice or whole grains. Okay, so there are good carbs, and your body needs that type of carb. So don't think, oh, all carbs are bad. No, they really aren't. You have to eat them in moderation, but all carbs aren't bad. So just remember that. Now, you also need calcium to build strong bones, but it helps your muscles as well. And actually, a lack of calcium is what creates cramps. Okay, so have you ever had where you're like, oh, and it hurts so bad, usually in your leg, and you're walking, you're like, oh, it's because you've had a lack of calcium. So you need to have calcium in order not to have cramps and things for your body. Now, muscles can also become soft and weak because you haven't used them enough. And that is why exercise is so important. Exercise is so important. Now, we might think of exercise and we think, oh, yes, big, strong muscles when you think of your muscles and exercise. Now, a muscle is your muscle strength is the ability to contract and create force, how much you can lift or how strong, okay, your muscles are. But muscle tone is different. Muscle tone is the tension when your muscle is at rest. So is your muscle, okay, flabby, okay, when it's not resting? Okay, when it's resting, when you're not flexing at all, is it flabby or is it tight to your bone? Is there tension there? So there's a difference between muscle tone and muscle strength. You can actually be really strong and not have very good muscle tone, like sumo wrestlers. Okay, their muscle tone is not very great, right? But they're very, very strong human beings. So you can have great strength but not very good muscle tone. And muscle tone are your muscles flabby, okay, or are they tight to your bone, okay? Is there a lot of tension there? And then strength, obviously muscle strength is how much force can it exert when you're contracting it. Okay, now when you're talking about muscle tone, you have to be careful. If you are working your muscles too hard, okay, then if it's not used to it, you need to be careful because you can strain your muscles. So you can stretch your tendons, you can stretch your ligaments, you can stretch your muscles and tear your muscles, and that's just from working them too hard. So you need to be careful. That's why stretching is very, very important before you work out, before you exercise, before you run. But also listening to your body and not working too hard because you can stretch your joints and your tendons and your ligaments, and that is not good either. And they need to stretch a little bit, but we're saying you're working so hard that they tear, and that just takes time to heal. Sometimes it never heals properly, so you need to be careful when you're working out. to stretch before and after, and then just being careful to not work too hard, go too much beyond your limits so that you don't tear your muscles. Okay, so you are going to be doing the anatomy worksheet number 2, which is you're coloring the muscles that we talked about yesterday. Okay, the frontalis, the trapezius, okay, the quad, the hamstring. You need to learn those because we're going to have a quiz on Friday about them. Okay, so you're going to do the front and the back. And you're going to post it on our portfolio. Okay, so I will talk to you later. Okay, bye. Don't know what that accent was, but I did it. It's been done.